Hello, YouTubers. It's gotten to the point where we can look at the news for any given week and see that World War III is near. For example, this week I'm linking a video from Rick Sanchez on RT. I highly recommend you watch the whole episode, especially for Ron Paul fans. First, Rick highlights 7 signs that a global recession is near. And here's the problem. There isn't much that gets people to fighting more than money. This extends to nations as well as individuals. A global recession increases the probability of us being involved in another war. When you see this clip, look at it as signs World War III is near, just as much as global recession is near.
I would like to do on this night is cut to the chase and try and list for you the signs that have many economists concerned, or in some cases convinced. There are 7 of them. Let me take you through them. 1, the Mac Daddy, the escalation of the U.S.-China tariff war that really began about 18 months ago. 2, just last week, for the first time in a decade, the U.S. manufacturing sector showed a significant decline. 3, the recession in Germany has already begun. The economy contracted by a small margin in the second quarter and will contract by an even larger margins in the third. 4, China has a debt crisis. State industries have borrowed heavily, and so have consumers. Banks are weighed down by loans that may never get repaid. 5, the uncertainty of Brexit has already damaged investment and GDP growth throughout Europe. 6, tertiary countries with large economies still are also already in recession or have recently suffered a contraction. Here's the list: Argentina, Iran, South Africa, Turkey, Venezuela. And finally, bond markets, as we've told you here exclusively on this newscast, are extremely jittery. Investors who lend money to the U.S. government via the bond market are actually selling their short-term loans in droves in expectation of an imminent recession, just as they did before the 2008 financial crash.
A little later in the episode, Sanchez interviews Ron Paul. As usual, Paul criticized foreign and economic policy and nailed it. But notice that Paul recognizes the danger of global recession, as he says, if goods don't move across borders, troops will.
Yeah, and I think we're getting pretty close to it, and I've always believed the admonition that if goods and service and people don't cross borders, armies will. And the founders knew that, and that's why they wanted a more free trade and get along with people. But no, I think that there's a blame game going on, more hostility than ever, even though I've only been out of the Congress for 6 years or so. I mean, the language is getting tougher because it's bankrupt. We're bankrupt financially, we're bankrupt morally, and that's why we're heading on a collision course. So all of a sudden you see the popping up of the radical socialists coming and declaring what they know. And then also I think the voices that you don't get to hear much about are the ones you're willing to at least talk with. And that is, maybe there's another system built on property and freedom and getting along and diplomacy and all these things. And I'm pretty optimistic that that's the way to go. And what we're doing is...
So, I want to do all that stuff Ron Paul just said. However, there is one critical difference I have with Ron Paul, which my next video will address. Thanks for your time. If you like this video, please show your support by subscribing. Thanks once again.